Last year during the Buffalo blizzard, we shared a story about a selfless woman who saved the life of a man who is disabled and was freezing outside of her home. She welcomed him inside with open arms and saved his life. We'll give you an update on this story up next. I'm joined today by good friend Sha'Kyra Rain Aughtry, and we are here to update you on our story last year about how your selfless acts saved the life of Joey White. And, you know, you did not do that for any recognition.
No.
You did not know that Sweet Buffalo was going to share your story.
Not at all.
But we did, and it blew up.
Yes.
So let's talk about what happened last year for those who don't know.
Well, last year it was on Christmas Eve. I fell asleep on the couch and I actually heard somebody screaming help. A lot of people ask me now, since, you know, it's been some time, like, how did you hear him? And I'm like, you know, I just say it was God that was whispering, because it wasn't like the words help. It was like talking into a fan. So if you know what talking into a fan, that's exactly how it sounded to my ears. And when I heard him, I looked out the window and I just kept going back and forth, you know, with my intuition saying, oh, do you want to open the door? Do you not? Because I don't live in a finest area. So after going back and forth with my mind, I'm like, you know, I'm going to go out there. We're going to go out there. So that's what I did. I went upstairs and got my boyfriend Trent and told him, like, somebody's outside. They need some help. And let's go. And at first Trent was like, not with it. He was like, no, we're not bringing a stranger in the house, especially during the holidays. But I was very persistent, and he went out there and he got him and he brought him in. And when he brought him in, I started taking care of him for 2 days.
And you did, and it wasn't just like taking care as in, you know, giving him some food and some soup and that. I mean, you were saving his life, like his fingers were really hurting. And
yes, I know when I went live on social media, a lot of people seen when the condition was already at its worst. But when I brought him in, I didn't know anything about frostbite. I didn't even know it was frostbite, honestly, because his hands actually looked normal. But his hands were just frozen to the bag that he had in his hand. So over the hours of me having him, you know, I didn't even realize how long I had him until I started making pot roasts and things like that. So once I did, you know, over the hours, I started seeing a lot of change within him and his hands from when I first brought him in. So, you know, it just happened from there. It was a lot that I dealt with. A lot of people just think about, you know, just feeding him, and it was more than that. You have to think we use our hands for everything. I think for myself now, I don't take anything for granted. You know, losing a finger, a thumb, you just don't realize how much you need those things. I had to take him to the bathroom. You know, he had to, you know, go number 1, go number 2. Those are the things that people were not thinking about that I had to do. I had to wash him, you know, and also he still was a stranger. And with him being a stranger, I still have to make him feel comfortable, even though I was uncomfortable. But we got through it, and to this day, I visit Joey all the time, and, you know, he was a great gift for me for Christmas, and he just opened up my eyes to so much more. Over the past 11 months, I still get emotional about, you know, what we went through and how his life changed in the blink of an eye, and just the awareness that we need to give. We should have awareness for elderly disabled people, because I think a lot of times people are so wrapped up on what we're currently dealing with, and we're not thinking about the people that, you know, don't have the lifestyle that we have, or just overall, you know, call your aunt that you haven't talked to in, you know, some odd years, or whatever the case may be. It's just, he opened up my life, my heart, my eyes, just to so much of, you know, things that we take for granted. And I'm glad that he was able to be in my life, that he is in my life, you know, and I'm able to help. I was able to help him to see his 65th birthday. On his birthday, when I seen him, he was just so happy, like, you know, it's my birthday. And I'm like, I know, Joey. And even now, you know, wintertime is coming, and he knows that wintertime is coming, and he's like, well, I'm coming with you. And I'm like, you know, I don't have a problem with him coming with me, but overall, you know, I'm just so grateful to have him in my life, and I'm just so grateful that God brought him, you know, to my doorsteps for me to be able to help him, you know.
And Joey trusts you, and he was, you know, at first it was, you know, a communication barrier. He wasn't able to really tell you how much pain he was in, but you knew.
I knew he never could tell me the pain that he was in. He never said, I'm hurting. I just knew from the things, with him having the mind of a 10-year-old, you have to think how many times we talk to our children. He wasn't saying like, oh, Sha'Kyra, I'm in pain. He could never even say my name, but he would stand up and like, oh, whoo, put his hands down, and I would know. And I'm like, okay. And I remember talking to him saying, Joey, if you were Bruce Lee, because he loves Bruce Lee. And I said to him, if you were Bruce Lee and you had to tell Bruce Lee how much pain you were, and if you kicked up high, that means you're in a lot of pain. If you kick low, that means you're not in pain. And he was like, I said, what would Bruce Lee do? He said he would kick high. So I knew he was in pain because I couldn't say, are you in pain through 1 through 10? He just wasn't grasping that, So I just figured out ways to be able to work with him to figure out what was really going on outside of me watching his body change. And that's what made me actually go on social media, because I was calling nonstop, 911, National Guards, nobody can get to us. And I understood that, but I didn't realize how much time has passed, had then passed. And even with, I was trying to get him to go to sleep. He wasn't trying to go to sleep. I know he was extremely restless, because just picture being outside for 5.5 hours. That's a very long time. And after investigators did their investigation, that's what they came up with, that he was outside for that amount of time. And he was restless, and I laid him on the couch, and I'm like, I put his legs across me, and I just rubbed his legs until he fell asleep. And then Christmas morning, he's like, hey, and I swear I remember like, hey, and he's like, you make me pancakes? And I'm just like, I guess so. So, even with that, making the pot roast, you make pot roast in a crock pot, that's a very long time to know how long I had someone, but I wasn't keeping track of it. It didn't matter how long I had him. I can have him to this day and I still will be fine, because he was a joy. He was a joy. He taught me a lot of life lessons in that short amount of time that we spent with each other.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that you still have that friendship. It's so
yes.
Special what you and Joey have. And so since that story came out, like I said, I know that you were not wanting any attention from this. All your goal was to just get Joey some help. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been on social media. That was the only place at that time. There were so many stories of selfless people doing great things, and that was the only place that they could get help with that time. And there was even a Buffalo Blizzard Facebook group. Like the only place people could communicate was Facebook. And sadly, some people were out of power, so they couldn't even do that anymore. So I know, you turned to Facebook for help, and you received that help from others too. But then afterwards, like everyone learned about your story, they're just like, we want to do something nice for this incredible woman, not only you, but Joey too, of course. And so his work, made a GoFundMe. And then from there, I remember the news, national news outlets, international, they were, emailing me like crazy, and I was putting in touch with you. That was it was a lot for you, wasn't it?
It was so overwhelming. When people say your life changes in the blink of an eye, that was really a true statement, because I couldn't even blink. Like, I remember my cousin's like, Sha'Kyra, you need to go and get in the shower. And I was just like, I'm so exhausted, from the phone calls to the emails to the Facebook messages. People was reaching me out on LinkedIn. If they want to find you, they're definitely going to find you. And they definitely found me. I just wish in that experience I had like a helping hand to help me, just get everything in order. But I don't think anybody could ever be prepared for something like that, because it was just so sudden and you just don't know. I did try my best to everybody that ever sent me a card. I made sure that I sent everybody a thank you note. Anybody that did anything for me, I made sure that I sent thank you notes. I really didn't turn too much to social media and like really thanking people, because I did say my address and everything on social media, and I still have to be very cautious because I still do have a family. I am still raising kids. So I just try to make sure I say thank you. I don't try to put anything on social media, and if I do, I still just say thank you for my safety and Joey's safety too.
Mm-hmm. And so the good things that came your way, so I got to be part of your Disney surprise that I was invited to watch you get surprised, which was so beautiful with JetBlue and the travel agency. And then, afterwards, I know you got many awards and things like that. But again, you were not expecting any of this. And then my favorite part was when you invited me into your house and you wanted to tell me some exciting news. And who sent you a letter? that you're so excited about?
Gayle King. And then also in the process recently, I just met Warren Buffett.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I met Warren Buffett. I also met Reed Hastings. He's the one that owns Netflix. So I've met a lot of people. I still have to keep that kind of under wraps. So shortly when I'm able to release all the pictures and things like that, I would definitely make sure you know. But I've been keeping a lot of things on the hush because, everything's now for social media and, it's better with surprises anyways.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so excited. I can't wait. And my last question to you is, you never know if this will happen again, when it will happen again. So what would you say to the community, if they're, faced with a similar circumstance? You could have just closed your doors and went to bed. You didn't. What do you think that the community should know to be prepared for something like this?
Well, I don't want to say generators because I didn't have a generator. I just happened to be lucky to have power, food, water. Overall, I just say, be very mindful. You don't know who's outside your home. It's okay to look and see what's going on because you just don't know what blessing that can be and how you can help another person. Just paying it forward. Sometimes the smallest thing, walking by somebody in the grocery store, you don't know what somebody else is going through. Just say hello. You don't know what that would do. And I know with me just opening my doors for Joey, that was a big thing for him. He always says it. Every time I see him, he says, "You saved my life, Sha'Kyra. You saved my life." And I knew I really touched him when I went to his new home and I seen a picture of me and him on his bedside. I just, on his bedside table, I just couldn't stop crying about it. And he's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm just like, I'm trying to get it together. Even though it's been 11 months, it feels like it was just yesterday to me. But that's gonna be my family forever. And I just can't thank God enough for, putting him in my life. I'm really appreciative of it.
You guys are both such beautiful people.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful to know you now. And again, you're just an incredible, amazing person. And thank you for what you did.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on the Sweet Buffalo Show.
Thank you.
For more episodes of the Sweet Buffalo Show, visit Sweet Buffalo on all our social platforms for sweet stories worth sharing.